morning, my fellow peasants. How you all doing? Are you doing good? I'm still not used to this new camera. I need to stay around about here. So today I want to talk about Noctis and Luna, why their relationship doesn't work. Why I don't like this couple as much. I say I do like them, just not as much or anywhere near as much as any of the other Final Fantasy relationships. You know, Yuna and Tidus, Cloud and Tifa, Cloud and Aerith if you're that way inclined, if you're a fucking madman and you have no goddamn respect for Zack, your animals, or you know, Squall and Renoa, Yuna and Tidus, I've already said that, you get it. You know, relationships in Final Fantasy, when we've had them, they've been iconic. You know, you name any of those relationships, most people know them. Magazines, there's been websites, you know, top video game couples. You're always going to have some Final Fantasy characters in there. But I don't think anyone, even the most emphatic of FF15 lovers, are going to disagree with me that Noctis and Luna, they're never going to make a list. It's simply validation. The relationship was never validated. It was never stamped. It was never approved. It didn't have its moment to solidify what it was to us, the audience. No, Yuna and Tidus, it was the lake scene. If it wasn't the lake scene, it was the laughing scene. What are they showing us? Is showing this couple getting along together on a personality level, on a humour level, you know, on a friendship level. Because that's the thing, I see that as a hugely important part of any relationship. Cloud and Tifa, we had the dating scene, we had Under the High Wind. And then let's go over to FF8, we had the ballroom scene between Squall and Renoa. Then we had the Ragnarok scene where they actually then validate as something romantic, as something deep, as something connected. And you had that time, yada yada yada. I'm not a writer, I'm just pointing out the goddamn fucking obvious. And this is where I'm gonna get to FF15. Square Enix, who have a team of fucking writers, who have a team of hundreds of people looking at this shit, for no one to have come up and said that Noctis and Luna wasn't going to strike the audience the way it needed to. I went into the game like most people wanting it to happen. You know, when we got up to that bit in Altisha and she's doing her speech and they have that smile and they have that connection, like, oh, maybe, finally, here we go. Wah! You know, we're actually going to see whether this really, you know, cute couple who'd kept a long distance relationship going, if they're actually going to work as a couple now. Because that's the thing, kids aren't adults, they're different people. You can't connect, you know, and that was all our connection was Noctis and Luna when they were children. A lot of their communication when they were younger. They're not the same people anymore. You know, Noctis has grown into this, and that's the thing, that's what I don't think most people realise, because it was never shown through the game. Noctis is a character who is like me and you. Well, you might not be this, but he's a slob of a gamer. He's a geek, he's a bit of a nerd. He doesn't eat his vegetables. He plays at the arcades. He collects magazines and mangas, and he hides on the table, and Ignis has to treat him like a child. And as much as I love that, and I love that about Man Noctis, really makes him relatable. Now I understand why we didn't see that much of his side, you know, and he had to grow. That was the whole point, he had to grow as a person. But that doesn't detract from the whole point that most of the time when Noctis and Luna have been communicating and growing this kind of distant bond, he's been that kind of person. Whereas Luna, holy shit, she is a different kettle of fish. She's a different league. She speaks eloquently. She carries herself eloquently. And it doesn't seem like it's even that much of a forced thing. Or even if it is, we don't know about it. Just think, whenever we've seen her interact, she's very formal. She's very prim and proper. And I could just imagine these two getting together and being a fucking nightmare. I mean, Jesus Christ, imagine. They think they've been destined together, and then the first day they get together, no, Luna's just bloody horrified at this. This chaos of mess and disorder and nerdiness, and nothing like the person she thought there was, because I've seen that in real life. I've seen people have long distance communications. I knew one guy who, I shit you not, 6 years, they believed they were destined for each other. Their personality couldn't have been more similar. They couldn't have had more interest. They couldn't have got more deeper and open. And then they moved to the same country and they didn't even last 4 fucking months. How are we supposed to believe in Noctis and Luna when we've never seen a moment of them coming together? You know, and that's what they really missed the boat with. And all it would have taken was one scene. One scene, Square, that's all it would have taken. You've even shown us bits of artwork where, you know, Noctis and Luna are there and they're taking pictures in the car together. You showed another one where there was like a moonlight lake, or the moonshine on the lake. It was night time. Noctis was helping her down difficult rocks. I hope I'm not making this picture up in my head. And imagine that. Imagine they'd have just gone off, and in that moment we would have seen what actually was this couple like together. How did their personalities clash? What do they talk about? Now, what are they interested in? How do they bounce off one another? Because they're vastly different personalities, and that's not to say it won't work. Una and Tidus was the same. Una was the, you know, the high summoner, and Tidus was the total twat. But when they were together, they were different. There was something different. Now, I'm not gonna say I didn't connect with it at all. I did, but more from just a purely, you know, the beauty of it, the idea of it. You know, oh, you know, I could buy into the idea that this was so tragic. You know, they've been communicating for years, and the second they get together, they have it snatched away from them. And just any scene done the way that Luna's death was done, I will put spoilers up in the title. Any scene like that can stimulate emotion out of anyone, even if there wasn't really much substance to it. I mean, hell, look at the start of The Last of Us with Joel and his daughter. Look at, even recently that I'm playing now, Tales of Berseria. Look at Velvet and Laphicet. Shit goes down, I won't say what, with both of them. But what did the developer make sure to do? They made sure to nail it home. Nail the interaction with his characters, laying on the sofa, talking total shit. That's what they were doing, and it was one of the, because that's the thing, they wanted to show you the most rawest, natural side of this relationship, and they stripped it down to something that, even though it was so brief, it was so insightful into the relationship they had, and that's why that scene really hit home hard, and that's just what was missed with FF15. There is no scene, there is no moment, there is no validation, basically. And that's why I was kind of really looking forward to the Royal Edition. When we got the glimpse of Luna's shoe, I thought, ah yes, come on, we're gonna have something. We're gonna have something validated here, but no, you didn't. In fact, what they did, and I didn't admit that it pissed me off at the time, but I'm gonna admit it now, it really fucking pissed me off, because Square Enix know Noctis and Luna hasn't gone down well. That we haven't had that moment of validation. That's all it simply is. And this was their time to do it. And they set the scene up. Noctis and Luna's there. Suddenly they give Luna the ability to speak in ghost form. Okay, so you've given her that ability. What have you given it for? Surely it's to communicate with Noctis. Communicate something real, even if it's brief. Just show us something, man. Show us something! But no, instead what did you do? They kept Luna's voice very formal, my king. And, you know, I understand why. I understand why they did that. Oh, I can understand a reason why Luna wouldn't speak like that. You know, it's an intense moment. He has to go into the fight. He has to realise himself as a king. And he's only just really beginning to realise himself the king he has to be. So Luna might have said it because, you know, my king, and to keep his head in the game. I get that. You know, there was a very similar, I won't say for any spoilers, but at the end of Lightning Returns, certain characters reunite. You know, they briefly say hello, but then they keep it very much, even though they haven't seen each other in ages, because they had something to focus on. You know, they had an enemy to take down, they had a goal, a mission, you know, stay on the task. And I could have used that excuse for Luna and Noctis in that moment, except for what you then went and did, Square. You then went and did exactly what you did before. Early in the game, you repeated this bullshit. This reaching out, this, you know, faded, why did you do that again? Why? No, because if Luna was calling him, you know, king to, you know, keep his head in the game, well then she totally fucked that up by running towards him and emotionally turmoiling the boy by, you know, seeming to reach out and then not do it. And I'm wondering, is Luna cock teasing here, you know? And yeah, it's just as I've been thinking about Luna and Noctis, I've been realising more and more why they don't work for me, but why it's so frustrating that they look good together as a couple, that they could be one of those really interesting, you know, polar opposite characters who, when they're together, they make something real and enjoyable to observe and shit. Fucking hell, this camera's going so there it is, guys. I'm gonna round it out there. What do you think? Actually, nah. Now, I'm coming back half an hour later. What's good, guys? I do think I was a little bit cynical in the way I sounded, because deep down I do kind of buy into, still, despite there being so little of Noctis and Luna, and I perfectly understand why most people are like, yeah, that ain't enough for me. I do kind of buy into the idea of them, even just into the idea of just having sort of like a spiritual other, you know, someone who you haven't actually seen, you haven't actually been around, but just from speaking to them, just from the few memories that you do have, that you know that there is something inherently connecting you two, that you are made for each other, or I don't know, going down the path, the same journey together, even though it's not, you know, hand in hand, side by side, but from afar you're going down this journey together. I think that's what Noctis and Luna, that's kind of what we're supposed to solidify and take from that. They both had these duties, they both from a young age, you know, the book when they're saying that an oracle and a king must always be together. It kind of sounds like a forced thing, and it kind of is. You know, all the books tell them they're forced to be together, and then they're even forced to actually marry each other because of Arden's puppeteering. So it does seem forced, but when you unravel the layer, the fact that there was that hidden, you know, despite all the danger, even though again, I think the danger of them having cell phone communication over dog travel, I still don't quite, I get what you're going for, Tabitha. They kind of said that it was because it would be dangerous to communicate, but I don't know. Maybe that's what the dogs, Umbra and Prina, shit, I've never even thought about that. I don't even know Tabitha realised this, so I could be making this up, but it sounds like a fucking brilliant headcanon to me. If Luna and Noctis, you know, despite all of the arranged weddings and the royal blood running through them, you know, because it was forced, but that they kept that secret communication going, and that implies to me the same kind of connection, because if you don't buy into this idea that you can just connect from afar, I disagree because of this channel. There are people I speak to, there are people who have got together in this community. We're having our first baby being born in this community. It's a boy. Little homo head, Pez, engaged. Imagine this on just a wee little baby's body. Bloodborne 2 mob, anyone? And yet I have relationships on this channel that do, as cheesy as the sound, I feel like it almost runs on a spiritual level, on an actual affinity, just a connection that, you know, isn't substantiated by physical, you know, contact, physical being together, or even seeing them. Someone who, despite never meeting them, you just know tomorrow you would lay your life down for them. You just know that if you met, or if your circumstances were different, or if you know, if you lived near each other in the same country, if you had the opportunities to have ever met in life and had your time, you just know somehow you would be companions from life, the best of buds. You two could get stranded on a motherfucking island. You wouldn't break on each other. You know you'd make it through. Zombie apocalypse crew, holler at you. And that could very easily be, Tabitha meaning to or not, be Umbra Preen as well. They were spirit creatures, they were spirit animals delivering this message. And maybe that's it. Noctis and Luna were speaking, calling out to each other spiritually. And if you look at it like that, Noctis and Luna could actually be one of the deepest relationships. Could be. But you have to buy into a lot of higher thinking and belief. And maybe if you've had those kind of relationships in your life, you'll know what I'm talking about. I know I have, so there it is, guys. Let me know what you think. Want to tag that bit on the end? Love it or hate it, Tabitha set the bar of Noctis and Luna's relationship above something that even needed physical verification. It went beyond that. Sure, it's absolute dog shit for us, the viewers, and us, and definitely me, helpless romantics, but Final Fantasy Peasant here, spinning shit into gold for you, Square Enix, 24/7. You just still don't have me on the payroll, you greedy motherf... Anyone with me? Just tossing out some volleyballs. Anyone gonna serve it back now? So there it is, guys. Until the next video. Okay, bye.